Very nice. We're gonna drop these away. I need to find my text layers, which are here and here. Alrighty. We're getting somewhere. Alrighty. And lastly, we need the splits. And we are ready to go. Well, whenever it loads. There we go. Oh no. Why is that happening? That shouldn't be happening. Why are they occupying the same space? Has something changed with my overlay? But I can't tell if that's actually the same space. I can't tell actually. I'm gonna advance one menu so I don't start the demo. I'm getting pings all over the place. I have like 3 different things that people were trying to ping me to do, and I don't know how to exclaim that I'm unavailable beyond simply not filling out the when to meet availability checks that most of them are doing. Because I know that after this stream and I am going to be like very focused on getting back into the whole thing of school. Brain now. Chat has not returned yet. If chat doesn't return, then I will be sad. Chat, are you alive? I swear, if I extended the stream and no one's even here. Okay, Cryo's here. Okay. I don't know why, but like the sudden you hear no trucks. What do you mean no trucks? There shouldn't be trucks. Okay, I cannot tell if the chat box is like if the chat box is going into the splits, and I don't want that to be the case if it is. Oh, it is! Oh no! Oh, the isekai. Okay, fair enough. Alright, well, chat will just be lower. I don't know why it was like that, but it's lower now. We're doing that. Alright. I don't know. Didn't mean to continue. What we shall do... Let's get some music in the background. Stream finally works for you. That's good, at least. Alright. There's enough people here that I could possibly attempt song requests. But also, I don't know how well I could do that. Did you see that we're getting a 3rd season of Konosuba? I did not see that. That is extremely exciting. I want to see that, but I feel like I'd have to refresh myself on what happened in Konosuba. That was like the first anime I watched. I would have never expected that to happen, but it's exciting. Brain. What else? Alright, so music. Let's find some damn music to listen to. What are we feeling today? I almost want to go the route of of just rebuilding back into my Eurobeat, or what's the word I'm looking for? I cannot find a lot of the words I'm looking for today. They're very specific ones, so I can't say I'm that surprised. Megan spin-off, but I heard people don't like it. I don't know anything about the Megan about such a thing of that description. Why is my brain hurting me? Oh wait, while I'm thinking of it, there was a funny thing that that Bird did that I want to contribute. I want to I want to continue the tradition for, because Bird, in one of the many runs they submitted, decided to for the video they did an individual level speed run of Squaw Valley, aka Palisade, and they named it Pepsi Valley, and I found that very funny. So that is now part of the Sean Palmer lore, is that it's Pepsi Valley. um, so says I, and also Bird. I thought it was funny, so I'm going with it. Um, is Mario soundtrack, but there's probably a wrong vibe. You knew it was Pepsi. I guess. I guess so. I didn't. I didn't acknowledge you saying it, but then as soon as Bird acknowledged that that's what it is, I was like, all right, no, fair enough. The first time I read you say that, I was just like kind of confused. I'm like, well, I guess I can see it, but I guess it's eh. I am easily influenced. I wasn't like one person noticing wasn't gonna be enough to convince me, but the fact that Bird literally named his video upload around that kind of makes it a bit harder to ignore then, doesn't it? Especially considering that he's the world record holder. Um, oh boy, easier cap, please. Um, oh boy, it is acting up today. It was acting up the other day as well. Oh god, I am sorry about the noise. Can I might need to fidget with this a bit. My capture card has been bad recently. I want to replace it. Hopefully that is decent enough. There's a reason that my capture card on my stream overlay is at negative 17.4 decibels. This capture card is from hell, but yet I continue to use it because I don't play enough games to bother getting a better composite capture card. I don't want to just go straight for Necrodancer again, but I don't have any better ideas. Fucked up thing is I was just thinking about how good a certain OST was earlier today, and I don't remember which OST it was. God dang it. My life is so hard, chat. Is Golden Brawler? Oh, hi, Golden Brawler. Welcome. I did not plan to keep streaming at this hour, but I accidentally had really good conversation in chat, and Mondays are very commitment free. So I decided that, alright, I'll make an exception just because I'm really enjoying stream for once, so here I am. God, why? You know what? I'm giving up this overthinking. I am just doing Necrodancer. I don't care. I'm just going to Necrodancer. It is the one true decision for me that I will always make. I love this game too much. What's one that I feel like listening to? What's one particular soundtrack? Let's go. What's one that I don't listen to very often? Oh, I'll do Necrodancer. Why am I so fucking scatterbrained right now? It's the one that was added in the DLC. I'm just gonna have to do some manual looking. Amplified. That's the one. My brain is being fried today. That is where we're at today. That is the current state of affairs. I could do a Toho, but I don't know like a decent one particular Toho I'd want to do. Everyone's in other portals. I appreciate that. I will eventually return to that Minecraft server. I have to this is not the right playlist. I will find it, I promise. I would be surprised if people are still here, but I will simply go about things as normal. Why can't I find a playlist for this OST? What the hell? I genuinely am struggling to find a playlist for this OST. This is like one of the more popular ones too. I'm very confused. Oh wait, no, Amplified is the name of the DLC. It's Overclocked, that's the soundtrack. I am I I am undergoing so many layers of misconception, which I think is a very, very I think is a very, very good omen for my ability to focus on a speed run today. Hopefully that's a decent enough audio. I can turn it up if need be. Alright. I spent so long setting up Shaun Palmer that I don't remember where conversation was at. Either way, it should be fine. Also, I think you can't hear it. It is audible, just not loud enough, I take it. Alright, how is that? I want to make sure I get the audio sounding okay before I start. Could be turned down a smidge. Alright. A smidge it is. Something like that, probably. I hope. I am just going to hopefully call that good enough. So, Brain. Brain do thing. This is not the right save file, and I am just realizing that. I can tell from the character that I am playing. Ideal volume. Rad. So, lots of stuff. I'm trying to think of where I was at. Lots of conversation today. I have really enjoyed, just getting to talk about the super obscure things that motivate me. I feel like the game audio is gone now, and I'm not like especially worried about that. I feel like the game audio isn't super necessary, and if the capture card's not wanting to do that, then that's not my problem. It's almost like nether portals are a nightmare, and trying to fix them is way more hassle than it's worth. I hope that things you add to the nether are worth it for the rest of the people, because I pretty confidently say they probably won't be a lot for me. But you did miss a lot of conversation earlier, Golden Brawler, because we were talking about my habit of joining very obscure internet communities and how that led to me finding you within the hardcore community. And how nowadays it has led to you being one of the more prolific people in my life. That'll work better when muted. I mean, the sound is still happening. It's just not coming directly. I don't hear it in my output. According to the overlay, it is still showing up. It is still showing up. Oh, okay, I actually can hear it. It's really quiet. But I don't want to change it because I also know that this particular capture card could blow your eardrums out because of how jank it is. So I don't want to turn it up out of fear of that. On the topic of this game, though, this is another, like, I was talking about this in the conversation about how this game is another example of a super niche internet community that I have had, like, a lot of passion for, because a lot of passion for, because of the fact that it was a childhood game I grew up with, did not ever hear anyone say anything about, and then I made a page for it one day, and then every now and then I'll just have someone show up and improve upon what I started. And I think Bird showing up has marked the first time where this has happened during a time in which I'm, like, paying attention. And that's especially been interesting, because it has led to me having, like, full-blown conversations with Bird about this game's deeper mechanics. And that is not a conversation that I ever in a million years could have speculated that I would have. There's also another reason why I'm super excited for MagFest, because Maple proposed to me the idea of like, okay, we're doing our MagFest setup stuff. What if we were to host a tournament? Like, we've done Maple, myself, and Chair have hosted a lot of have hosted some like Mario Kart tournaments and some other things like that. Chair is not going to be at MagFest, but Maple proposed the idea of me hosting a tournament at MagFest, and I immediately had the idea of doing a Shaun Palmer tournament at MagFest, which would, like, unironically, like, potentially be the first time that the two-player mode of this game has been booted up by anyone in over a decade, which sounds really cool to me. So that's something that I'm, like, super excited about the premise of doing. I don't know if it's something we're actually going to be able to do, but if we do, man, is it going to be cool. Koji, you actually met a guy in real life and wanted to hang out in their stream, but they have too many viewers for that. Wow. Fascinating. I wouldn't expect to run into that kind of person in a real life, in a IRL setting, but the fact that happened. Immediately failing at my menuing. But you know what, I got dude honors. That's sometimes as much as you could really ask for. It's cool. Last night, with me doing practice runs of this game, not that many, mind you, just a small amount that at least I didn't think it'd be that many. It was a few. So I'd say I probably did like a dozen practice runs last night. Granted, a lot of them didn't make it out of Kirkwood, but I eventually, in that session, I also ended up verifying Bird's things because I remembered like late on, what the hell is happening? Why aren't my jumps jumping correctly? I'm trying to jump off to the left. If I crash one more time, I'm just going to accept it as it is and move on with my life. Okay. I have fixed the problem. And as I was verifying runs, I actually watched. I actually feel like I learned a lot from watching the runs that were that I verified. Because I mean, probably the most notable thing is that in Bird's world record, they did a very different strategy for the Moose Bonk that is way more consistent. So instead of taking the ramp, you just go over here and you do a super ollie. That's all it is. That is literally all it is. And after I verified his run and saw him do that and did like a couple more runs before I went to bed, I don't think there was a single run that didn't leave Kirkwood, which is kind of insane. There are plenty of other places you can mess up, but that is like a huge discovery that I feel like is going to be a game changer for me, and that will result in a pretty good PB in a decent amount of time. I say this, but I am currently missing every objective possible at the moment. I'll still probably be able to get this run out of Kirkwood. It just won't be like as pretty as some of the other ones I've had. But it's crazy to me just how much of the stuff that I have been trying to do is a harder method than the developers intended. This game is notably like developers in this game feel like they made particularly obtuse ways of discovering what the intended method is. No, I missed the fucking honk again. You know, it's a hand warmer. I shouldn't be too upset. But yeah, that's a lot of what's on my head at the moment. I kind of want to talk about the hardcore community more, because the hardcore community is not something I ever really, like, it is a aspect of my existence on the internet that I never got to even finish making this, this comparison, but I feel like I feel like my presence on the internet is very similar to Toho Project's presence on the internet, where it's like Toho Project is not this like super huge thing that like the average person even knows what it is, But if you're on the internet, you'll kind of begin to notice that a lot of the borders surrounding you, like if you discover what Touhou is, you'll slowly but surely begin to realize that the borders that surround you on the internet have kind of been surrounded by it the entire time. Like, so many of the things that you would recognize from being Touhou related, you see the connections kind of form together, and it's just like, wait, why is this everywhere? And I feel like that's a similar vibe that my presence on the internet gives, where it's like, I occupy small but very specific parts of the internet that people recognize me from. Not quite to the same scale, obviously, but people recognize me from all over the place, and I feel like that's a decent enough comparison. I'm resetting this run, because it turns out you can absolutely jinx yourself. My Little Pony community? My Little Pony community can definitely be like that too. Is all Touhou? Was something I legitimately got asked the other day. Like, legitimately. And the hilarious part is that, like, I recognized that, like, so much of the internet I loved was Touhou. But the thing that, like, made me get into Touhou was the phase of my life where I got super, super heavy into Eurobeat. I still love Eurobeat nowadays, and while it's not, like, as prominent in my life as it used to be, it was my discovery of Touhou Eurobeat that, like, properly solidified me as a Touhou fan. Follow me on social media. I made a playlist called Videos I Saw TJ and got scared for a few seconds because you were in so many places you didn't expect. So my comparison is correct then, because I get that a lot. And I think that has a lot to do with how I browse the internet. I just like finding really obscure parts of the internet that are just like, this is cool, and not like other places of the internet. And the hardcore community is like the epitome of that, because the hardcore community is full of some of the most talented motherfuckers I have ever seen, and they are dedicating themselves to projects that, if they're lucky, 1,000 people will see. And that is completely baffling to me, because I have 15,000 people who follow me. That's assuming no crossover amongst different platforms, which I don't think is a fair assumption. And it's like, man, I really wish that a lot of these communities had the attention they deserve. And you know, it's very much the same thing with the YTPMV community. Like, the YTPMV community are the single best video editors that you will ever find anywhere else in the craft, to the point to where drama that I ended up retweeting stemmed from the fact that some of them work too hard on the things that they make just for fun. And I think that says a lot about the work ethic of some of these communities, and they're incredibly fun to spectate from a distance. And I have attempted both of these craft, and I don't understand how anyone ever finishes anything. Both of these represent communities that are just like, what the fuck? Golden Brawler, it's very funny to hear you say that in particular, because even though I love your editing and your hardcore a lot, the vibe you have given me is that you do not watch that many fan hardcores. You are very prominently a figure in the hardcore community, but the vibe you've given me is that you don't watch that many of them. That said, oh, hold on. Something especially... Wait. I still don't know why My Little Pony is. I know it's like, just don't watch TV. No, it's a cartoon, but I don't know why it's so huge on the internet. I don't know why it's so huge on the internet either. And I feel like I feel like My Little Pony is a little different from Touhou, in the fact that I feel like the traction that My Little Pony has severely slowed down in recent years, whereas Touhou has been consistent throughout. Regardless, don't frankly, because you edit your own. More people should watch peeps that make fan hardcores though. Yeah, absolutely, and it's very much the same thing with YTPMVs. I'm gonna start with YTPMVs before I get into the hardcore community more, because YTPMVs I feel like is specifically in contrast to like normal YouTube poops. I feel like is like the most pure distilled form of art that you can kind of have, or something along that degree. I don't think there's a single art form that represents the internet better than YTPMV does. And that's why, even if there's a relatively small number of people in my server that care about YTPMVs, I am adamant about having a channel for it. Because, to me, there's nothing more special than a YTPMV. Because it is essentially taking the premise of turning any media anyone could imagine into music, which doesn't always necessarily amount to much. A lot of times it can result in some very poorly edited videos, like YTPMVs are hard to do right. But the idea of turning any source material into music is a very interesting one that people put an insane amount of effort into. And I'm glad that a lot of the collabs in the YTPMV community get the traction they deserve. But even the individual ones that aren't the aspect of getting 18 of the most talented people that have ever lived together to make a 16-minute video about Old Spice. Even on the smaller scale, like YTPMV is an especially like what's the right word? Underappreciated art form on the internet. Because I feel like the vast majority of people don't even know what YTPMV is, and for the effort that people put into it, that feels like an absolute crime. And the reason why I feel the need to distinguish between YTPMVs and normal YouTube poops is because I feel like normal YouTube poops are much more, they can take the form of anything, and there's somehow, despite the fact that YTPMVs are derivative, at least in West culture anyway, YTPMVs are derivative of YouTube poops. They are much better defined, where they are all about the idea of taking any source material and turning it into music. Whereas YouTube poops are more so just very generic umbrella terms that are just like, remix culture, here's the source material, we can make it, we can tell any joke we want with it. It can be the funniest shit to ever exist, or it can be some of the most insufferable media you could watch. And because of just that sheer amount of range that it covers, I feel like it's a lot easier to assume that's just that there's not as much value in it. Talking about YTPMVs, gay people. And honestly, YTPMV Elf, it's funny you bring up YTPMV Elf, because YTPMV Elf is another just extremely interesting case where it's like, I wouldn't describe YTPMV Elf as being a good video, but it inspired people in a way that very few things really could. And there are parts of it that like show the structure of like what the person was going for with it. And I think there's a reason it resonated with people despite everything. Is like at first glance you watch it and it's like, wow, this is extremely bad. This is like your typical like really bad YTPMV. But you really kind of notice there's something there, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. It feels like such a random, like, distilled form of art that very few people will like properly recognize as being such, because it's such an absurd, like, it's such an absurd thing to do, like, with your free time, that's just like, okay, but why does this matter? And the answer is that it doesn't. But at the same time, you think of most other forms of art, and it's like, okay, does this matter? Like, I don't know. I will always stand by the artistic merits of YTPMV as an art form, because it, to me, represents one of the hypotheticals that I think stuck with me before I even knew what YTPMV was, which is the idea of making music using literally anything. Yeah, it's vintage, I get. That's a good word for it. So that's the reason why YTPMVs are such a huge thing in my life. One thing that I talk about considerably less that I said I was going to get into is fan hardcores, because I think this is much more of its own thing. That's not like something like, okay, this is like the natural, this is like a natural thought process that would eventually happen anyway. No, fan hardcores are just a really cool execution of the idea of cooperative gaming, and the fact that it's just, okay, you have like your typical like gaming collaboration where you have like a bunch of people who don't normally get together and do things very often. Like it's you have a bunch of creators getting together to make something and to bounce off of each other. But hardcore like Minecraft, yeah. Particularly the fan hardcore community, or the group of people who have adopted the format as it was first done by Peanut Butter Gamer. That particular bit of hardcore, because the whole idea of it, from its conception, is just get like 7 prolific creators together, and they don't even have to be creators; they can just be friends. But you get a bunch of people together. You do a collaborative gaming session in which everyone bounces off each other and just has a lot of fun. Which at first glance is like, okay, you are describing a Let's Play. But it's more than that, because it takes the idea of an entertaining personality in a Let's Play, and then it throws in the aspect of a reality TV show where at any point in time, the number of people who are present is slowly going down. Because in PBG's format of hardcore, a very specific thing that happens is that the second someone dies in the hardcore, they immediately forfeit their right to speak, and you immediately feel their lack of presence the moment they die. Which creates this really incredibly just intriguing storytelling medium, where for one, you don't know for sure that the person playing is going to succeed, and for two, for one, you don't know that, and for two, at any point in time, any of the people you are currently watching could cease to be involved in the project, and I'm surprised that the fan hardcore community has still to this day never developed traction, because it really feels like it should, because PBG's idea is, from its conception, super interesting, and it makes sense to me why there'd be a fan hardcore community of people replicating the same idea. What does not make sense to me is why PBG is, one, like the only prolific creator to ever done something like this, and two, why the people who have taken this concept and expanded upon it in ways that could have never been expected, like in really creative ways that you could have never seen anywhere else, that these cool ideas are not getting rewarded with people discovering it and loving it. Both of these things that I'm talking about were kind of relevant on my mind because someone from my server was asking me about fan hardcores, and I ended up having a pretty long conversation with them about it, so I guess it's very fresh on my mind. It's similar to an SMP community, but it's different because an SMP community is something you more so have to keep up with in real time, whereas a hardcore community is a set-in-stone period of these people set out, they attempt to accomplish this goal, They stop either when they do or when they die. And that is the gist of it. And that, for one, I think is a much easier viewing experience because there is a concrete start and end to all of it, rather than what SMPs kind of are, which is like a lot of traction at the start, an attempt at continued sustainability of new things happening, that eventually you run out of things to do, and there's not really a point to continuing an SMP. And I think that's like the biggest thing, is that ultimately I don't think your experience with a game like Minecraft is supposed to go on forever. Different communities are able to maintain activity with Minecraft for different periods of time, and I feel like this is one huge reason why like VTubers even took off in the first place, which I know is insane to go from hardcore to VTubers, but no, stick with me on this one, because I genuinely think VTubers at the hardcore and like VTubers grow to fame largely kind of can be linked to Minecraft and how they interact with it, because how most VTuber groups, particularly like I think Nijisandi and I think Hololive, because those are the ones that I really know anything about, how they interact with Minecraft is not as a game to be beaten, but rather an ongoing like sort of meeting hub on which any of the people in the group can communicate and have their own little projects going on. And it's just kind of there as being like this hub that like a lot of them interact in, and I feel like a lot of the earliest clips to rise to prominence in like the Hololive space that like popularized VTubers are very much that. And I do show my bias a decent amount here by the fact that I first got into Hololive through Minecraft clips, but I think there's still a lot of validity to that, because I don't think people would know exactly what Picoro was about if she wasn't constantly harassing people in Minecraft. I don't think people would know about the silly dumbassery that is Aqua if it weren't for her interactions with Shaun in Minecraft. Like, I feel like there's an inherent expression that you can get out of a game like Minecraft that is this massive sandbox that you can do a lot with. And your ability to maximize the playtime out of a game like Minecraft, I think, says a lot about the medium you produce, because I feel like it's stuff like that makes Hololive feel like the community that it is. That interaction that you get between a lot of different creators who share the same space and are doing their own thing. In the hardcore community, and I feel like what makes the hardcore community's approach to this different is, rather than trying to constantly sustain that this many people should be active and doing things at one time, it instead establishes a concrete start and end point, where it's like, okay, you get all of the same people together in the same place at the same time. You know where you're trying to go. You still have that ability of people to bounce off of each other and create chemistry in meaningful ways. But this approach is more like grounded in like the reality TV show kind of like appeal of seeing, well, who can succeed and who will not. And I say this as someone who and I feel like this is also on my mind a lot, because in this last year or two, whether I like it or not, I've found myself re-engaging with a lot of people who are, I say like it or not, but I do. I uncovered my buried love for Total Drama, because that show demonstrates exactly this kind of same concept of just the appeal of seeing like, okay, you have these of people who all have different stories they can tell, who will actually like succeed in telling that story. And I find that incredibly interesting. And in something like a hardcore, it feels much more immersive because not only are we seeing who will succeed and who will fail, but the stakes are, at least in a suspension of disbelief kind of way, rooted in someone dying. Like naturally, you don't watch hardcores like being like, oh man, I'm never gonna see Spicy Man 33 again. But somehow in the event, in that suspension of disbelief, even though you're watching a real person, that they're going to continue existing after they die in the hardcore. Like you still feel attached to them in the context of the story being told in a lot of ways. And it's this like insane suspension of disbelief that makes me like absolutely baffled that this format has not been able to find an audience like beyond just Peanut Butter Gamer. I think we have everything we need. Wildlife. What am I missing wildlife-wise? I think I'm missing the bunny. I don't know. These are just the parts of, like, I just find these concepts really fascinating, and I never really get a chance to talk about them very much. And I feel like today I just kind of started, on this tangent, and now that I'm here, I want to go into it more. Because there are so much things that people can do with both of these mediums, because both of them being both YTPMVs and hardcores, because they're vastly mendable formats that you can do so much with. You have to go though. Good luck. Hope have a good night. Thank you. You too. But just the fact that it makes me happy that there is like a huge group of people that do properly explore them. I just wish that they got the attention they deserved. But the fact that they exist at all is rad as hell. So I can't really complain all too much. These are probably the two most like novel concepts of communities that I've like discovered within the realms of the internet. And I think about them a lot because they have changed my life in ways that I could never have expected. I don't know if I did the haze hop already, did I? I did not. I did do the haze hop. Okay, we're good. I don't know if like anyone, I have like talked myself out in terms of these topics, but I never get to talk about them, and it's cool that I finally get this opportunity. Just because that's where the conversation went. In the weirdest way possible, it's hilarious. Yeah, I love Iris is. I feel like you're talking specifically about her first interactions with Crony. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that in particular was, oh my god, that is one of the best series of clips. Crony just actually like legitimately being scared of her will never cease to be one of my favorite moments that I ever just watched in Hololive. VTubers as a concept, I guess I can talk about that as well, because I did kind of get into how something like Hololive, because like I feel like VTubers were always going to be the kind of thing that happens, because I feel like VTubers are very much an extension of the concept that Henry was supposed to represent from the get-go for me, which is just being like, just the idea of having like a Sona, in a sense, like just a character to represent your presence, in place of like your face or like your real self. Not Crony, Ollie. They were both like that. It was Crony and Ollie who had that experience. which is even funnier that it happened twice. But like something like, VTubers were always going to be a thing that happened because they're a natural extension, and it's just that even though like Hololive wasn't the first instance of VTubers happening, but I feel like that thing I mentioned before of like that aspect of community that Hololive as a company gives off is I think what particularly motivated it to reach the heights that it did. It used to have potential. I mean, fucking goddammit. I am not going to drop this run at Aspen because Aspen doesn't take too long to reset. I'll just run it back and just do things normally. I'm not going to worry about it too much. UHCs were a novel concept for a while, and I'll never forget watching Seth Bling and a lot of the Mindcrack people. What the fuck? Doing ultra hardcores. And while I feel like it always was I don't have too much of an idea of how that works. HCs still do have so much potential. I think the biggest thing that holds HCs back is that nowadays there just isn't any new like games being created with mass multiplayer functions that you can reasonably play in a setting in which you can both beat the game and do so without dying, without like a lot of experience. Like Terraria and Minecraft are the two biggest hardcore games for a reason, and it's entirely because of the fact that that they're seemingly like the only two games like that have that aspect of allowing you to connect more than 4 people, have one continuous run where you can avoid death without with some degree of ease. I am going to do the bonk method for this. Fuck off. Oh no. Alright, we're going back down for another. This is going to be the worst Aspen of all time, but I would rather just get a run going. Because I think I will find my mojo if I keep going. I probably should have just gone back down, but I definitely should have gone back down. I think I fucked this up quite royally. But I'll see where it goes. Great narratives. Also a lot about death. About PvP tryharding, I think. Yeah, and I feel like that's what made UHC. I feel like that's what made Minecraft particularly better at it than a lot of UHCs, because it took. Even though there was still like people who would narrate perspectives on it afterward, it still did. It's hard to say. It's hard to really explain. Because I almost don't even think that the tryharding part really hurts it, because I feel like you can still tell stories with that sort of tryharding. But I think where it lost its touch is in its focus on making it this sort of like this like competitive challenge, as opposed to I feel like it turned into a competitive format, which I guess it always kind of was from conception. The difference is that people like the Minecraft community, with Seth Bling, Super MC Gamer, Pause on Pause, Good, like they were just kind of already just a server that were doing their own thing. But they, even though they were doing their own thing, the focus was much more on just these are Minecraft creators coming together to do a thing, and not necessarily on how good any of them are at one individual aspect. It was, I mean, and honestly, it was kind of an evolution of just the original Minecraft Hunger Games that like Captain Sparkles would do. Like, when you think about it, but it's kind of hard to avoid having something like that become competitive, because what ultimately is being pitched in videos like that they produce is a format in which you are being competitive with other people. And if you don't have a group of people that you can just have a similar level of experience with, and if you have interest in the format, and you don't have this massive group of people who share a label and can just kind of be gathered to be involved in this one thing, ultimately you're going to run into a sample size of people who treat it differently, and that's going to result in some people just being noticeably better than the rest, and that is just something that you have to deal with. Oh, really, YouTube? You're gonna ask me if I'm still active, really? You got me. I have turned off YouTube, and I am profiting off of the ads or something. It's deceptive, but it sells competitive, but fails if it actually is competitive. I mean, honestly, the same thing is kind of similar with hardcore, because what makes hardcore special to me is the idea that a story can end at any point. And what makes a PBG format hardcore work is that there are multiple people involved with this. There is emotional attachment because of how they interact with each other. And especially PBG's format, in which like your ability to speak is directly linked with your ability to stay alive. That makes, when someone dies, like, their lack of presence, like, super noticeable. And I feel like the type of hardcore videos that get popular nowadays are the ones that can do the most grandiose thing with their challenge. And while that makes sense, because of the fact that that is, by very nature, posing a challenge that is interesting, what kind of stops being interesting is that without people to be alongside that journey, there isn't really as much of a story to tell. But at the end of the day, I think that one thing that's also worth noting is that people tend to be most interested in the people that are most skilled at a medium, which I think is a large reason why speedrunning has grown to such prominence as it has now, is that people like watching what something at absolute best level perfection looks like. And while it is and while that is very beneficial for a medium like speedrunning, it's not as much for something more story-based like a hardcore or a UHC. But Dark and TJ for the 5 millionth time while Mojang refuses to add anything more meaningful. I mean, I talked about this a while ago. There's a reason Minecraft and Terraria are the only games that really persevere in the hardcore community, is because they're the only ones that actually like function as games. In terms of like, you can do that effectively. And I don't blame anyone for being put off by mods, because mods are intimidating to set up. And unless you can present it in such a way that it can grab your attention immediately, that kind of makes it difficult. But also, it's what works. Does Minecraft function as a game, though? The pieces are there. The pieces, I think Terraria, without modification, Terraria is the better hardcore game. But, with the sheer level of customizability that you can do with Minecraft, pretty much every single one of what I would consider the best seasons of a hardcore that have been made are Minecraft, because of just the sheer amount of things and like ways people can modify the game to to be whatever they want to be. Oh no. Well, that's not terrible, actually. I can just come back around. Because the fundamental, like, stones for Minecraft to fall into place as a interesting game, survival-wise, are definitely there. And that's also why, assuming that I don't cancel this project like I have every other, not every other, but the vast majority of the others, aside from the one that Sylvette decided to make her own, which is still labeled under my name, just saying, just speaking about it how it is. Assuming I don't abandon the one I'm working on, what I'm currently trying to do with the Minecraft Hardcore is I'm currently trying to make a pretty basic, like, PBG degree of, like, simplicity in a hardcore, but use mods in order to take what Minecraft has going as a basis of, like, okay, here are the things that Minecraft does well as a survival game, and basically trying to remove what I perceive most of the flaws with a typical Minecraft hardcore, just like regular vanilla season to have. That is the whole premise I am trying to adapt with my currently working season, and I don't know if it'll go well, but the people who have been, I guess, playing scrapped seasons, they've seemed to have enjoyed playing it, and I think that there's a lot I can do with it, and I like the idea, because I want to do a Minecraft season that's not overwhelming before settling on something that actually is more crazy. Where the hell is the bunny? Bunny? Hello? Bunny? The bunny is not here. What the fuck? Chat? Why isn't the bunny here? I am reading chat and I almost got freaking moose attacked. Oh, I didn't get the logos either. Uh-oh. Oh, I got that. I got the bunny. I didn't get the logo. I remember now. Okay. Okay, yeah, we're good. Yeah. And I read that too late, because I figured it out on my own. You'll probably say, I'm fine with that. I've not noticed, but I don't know why I've been on edge. Negative. I mean, look. You're correct in saying that I would say both of those things, but I understand. I totally get it. I feel like I have been that way for a lot of Leah's streams recently. I feel like in... Oh boy, that's a reset. I feel like if it hasn't been me being worried that she does better with her chat than I do with my own, it has been in worrying that that her experience with one of my favorite games of all time hasn't been the same as my own. I feel like as we've gotten into the VLR portion of the Zero Escape series, I have already begun to see her completely deconstruct a game that means a lot to me, and even if it feels warranted in certain places, I have definitely felt like her experience being worse has brought me down for some of those streams too. It happens. You can't always affect how you go about life, I guess. I don't know. But don't worry about it. I've not noticed. But I don't know what else I can offer you beyond that. I hope that you feel better soon, though, in regards to that. It can be definitely very hard to avoid being negative, and I don't really know what else to add on top of that. Fair enough. If it's just you wanting to apologize, then, well, I mean, for one, apology accepted. For two, I kind of hadn't even really noticed that much. Oh, by the way, there was a chat message I noticed from you that I wanted to DM you about, but that I didn't. But you made a joke earlier when I was talking about Zero Escape with Leah earlier, about whether or not something I was saying was spoiling something further down the line with Zero Escape. It absolutely was. I feel okay saying that now because she's not here, but the third game is all I'm going to say. The third game is a trip. We're going to have a great time with that, because I think that one I have considerably less emotional attachment to, even if I do see a lot of really cool ideas in its concept. Its execution is bad enough that I can look at it from a much more objective standpoint that's like, yeah, this game isn't good. But that's something I look forward to that I think will be very fun. I could like key you in on like a slight refresher on what I was referencing when I brought it up, but I don't know how useful that would be. All right, I don't like just going for a super ollie. I prefer coming to a complete stop and bonking over her. Now, Bird seems perfectly content just going straight for a super ollie over her, and that's good for Bird. I am not going to replicate that same behavior, because I do not think I am capable of making that work as well. Yeah, if you look up anything for Zero Escape, you kind of spoil yourself on everything. Doing research for Zero Escape, you're not going to find very many spoiler-sensitive conversations and talks about what the series has going on. And I think nothing indicates that better than the fact that Googling Tenmyoji Zero Escape will just immediately take you to the wiki page for Junpei Tenmyoji. I forgot about the fucking coffee stand. I'm going to attempt to reconcile this mistake, but I don't know if I will. I'm having a very fucked up Kirkwood and Aspen, but I am getting runs out of Kirkwood and Aspen, so I have monkey pawed myself. I'm gonna have to make a hell of a combo if I'm gonna make this work. Especially for the phase of the game I'm in. I do not have like a lot of balance stat on my character. No, I didn't manual! Ah! Alright, I'm resetting this. I hate to do it. I hate to do it. It is hard to speak. Well, yeah, I guess that's most of my lecture on just like obscure parts of the internet you wouldn't expect. That's without even getting into like my origin, so to speak, of the fact that like my earliest internet community was a roleplay group, which I mean, that one's not too complicated to talk about because it's essentially just D&D without numbers. That's all that roleplay group ended up really being. It was cool, but and very nostalgic community for me. And definitely was a hell of a way to flex my imagination very early on. Alright, well I can officially no longer reset, so let's make this count. Here's the thing. The roleplay group I was in still was mostly combat-based. It is just that there wasn't numbering systems involved with it. Like, it was basically the kind of thing where it was like, okay, person has a general idea of the story they want to tell, and then the other people can join and contribute whatever they really want to. And rather than like do all this math of like whether or not something is successful or not, it was just very much an individual basis of like, okay, this is the scenario you find yourself in. Okay, this is what I want to try, and then depending on like what the person is looking for, they decide how that goes. And if someone does something that would be like really stupid, you just kind of rewind back to where that misconception really happened, because like I think the biggest example of this was I remember a fight scene that I was role playing in where I was thinking Henry was my roleplay character, he was, so I was thinking of him very much in like a Super Smash Bros. Like context, where of like that was like how I was imagining the interaction going, and the person that I was role playing with mentioned the fact, and at a certain point, like this is a very random and specific memory, but at a very specific point, the person that I was fighting in the roleplay had a sword, and they were pointing it upward, and in my very Super Smash Bros. Way of thinking, I was like, okay, I am located directly above them. I am going to attempt. I feel like I would like ground pound here, and what that resulted in was like, okay, if you do that, that would basically be like you stabbing yourself because the sword is pointed upward. I'm like, oh yeah, fair enough. We rewind that and then just continued as if nothing else was there. Otherwise, it was just a means of just telling a story with whatever characters you had there, and how they interact with just kind of like one person kind of having an idea of where it goes. It's not a format I've ever seen adopted anywhere else, and something that I feel like made that particular community really special, because in order to do something like that, you have to have a lot of trust for everyone there to kind of operate under the same conditions that everyone else does. And one of the biggest things that that group had like a stance against was god moding. You have to make sure you let yourself that not everything you do works, and it's up to you to decide what does and what does not. But as long as you're not like completely and utterly god moding, then you were basically allowed. It was a really interesting way of handling RPs that unlike anything I've seen since. Pre-magnetized, fair enough. Whatever you decide to call them, it's not my responsibility. You got an RP with someone you know. Alright, this time let's not make dumb mistakes. Been through experimental phases. Fair enough. I have had I have had at least 1 or 2 of those. Assuming you're even talking about like the same kind of thing that I would, but I think I pick up the gist of what you're talking about. Hold on. I'm at a section that I want to focus real quick. Don't mind me. I'll catch up in a second. Okay. What bothers me is that 80% of the time and 70% of 80% of the characters and 70% of them are NPCs. 80% of the characters, that's 70%. Yeah, and I feel like that has a lot to do with your ability to DM a session like that. Because honestly, I think that if you can't write NPCs that you yourself are interested in playing as, I feel like you can do more to make that work. Cause I think the most fun I ever had with an RP, I think I have everything right. I don't have score. I'll do that with this. I'll do that with the speed challenge. The RP that I don't really remember having hosted that many RPs. In fact, I may very well have only hosted one of them, but I think there was at least 2. But the one that I remember hosting most was a 1,000-Year Door based roleplay, in which I had essentially like designed several boss fights that the person who was doing it was going to go through, and also at the same time had created was mimicking the same idea of like it being almost like of it being like a what am I trying to say here? Of it being a sort of offshoot of 1,000-Year Door. That's like the Luigi story, in which there are these other characters that exist and are part of the story. That like while 1,000-Year Door is happening, there's another story happening elsewhere or in a different time in this case, and I had different characters, like in the same way that 1,000-Year Door has a partner system where like a lot of the generic characters that you'd find in an RPG are now your partners. I did something similar with that, with a very different set of characters. I remember I had one partner that was literally the gatekeeper in Rogueport. After I had a different one that was just a daisy that you would find in what's it called? Twilight Town? And I thought about how each of them could have their own story, and like that's a lot of effort to do. Like absolutely that is. But if you can't really immerse yourself in a character that's not like your main character, then that's probably a sign that you've not put enough thought into them, in terms of making them be characters that you want to roleplay as. Because this was very prominently a roleplay in which I don't even think my Henry was involved in the roleplay. It was just more I wanted to make a small like 1,000-Year Door based narrative that this person could follow. So I guess the solution of what I'm trying to get at is, if you don't like playing as NPCs, so to speak, for one, think of them as maybe not being NPCs and more of just less important characters that you don't have nearly as much like emotional connection to, that you want to like flesh out every detail of, and just like don't think of them as NPCs. Think of them as other characters that have their own role, but granted are much smaller and that you don't want to do as much with. Like, still make them your own, is I guess the best way I can phrase it. That is a lot of text, I'm sorry. I'll get to that.
Hey, watch it!
Ah, it didn't work. Okay, that did not feel good. I did not like how that felt. And it still doesn't feel good because, like, yes, I am definitely going much slower than I would, but like, hey, if I don't have to reset, I don't have to reset. That's like that's the ideal situation that we're looking for here. So I ended up with a 2d10 system, and it's the fastest and most enjoyable. It's the fastest, most enjoyable. I also had to call him out for trying to fudge rolls, which then again, sometimes you just don't. And again, I've tried doing stories like this using like a D&D setting, and while D&D is a great means with which to RP, because I feel like D&D still very much falls under the umbrella of role playing, of picking up a character and behaving as though you are that character. But D&D definitely has its limits, and I feel like if you can't, and the thing about D&D is that being limited by what a set of numbers says you can do feels kind of annoying, and and a lot of the times it just feels like it drags on without really going very far. It definitely depends on the DM you have, but I feel like D&D definitely has its limitations that I don't like, because I want to have the thinking tell the story and not necessarily focus too much on just whether or not something I try works or not. Basically what I'm trying to say is I feel like this regular other format of role playing that I tried when I was younger, is more preferred by me because any interaction can have an intended solution, and cheese is much less likely to happen either way, because the story doesn't advance until that solution is figured out. And why that matters is that what am I trying to say? Why that matters is that with everything having an intended solution or something close to it, there's leniency on both sides to where the person hosting it can drop hints on what they're supposed to do, or the person who's on the other end could come up with an idea that the DM is kind of likes more almost. Like, there's a lot of ways that it can go, and oftentimes you'll have an interaction set up in mind with that kind of format of RP where you expect it to go a certain way, and then it goes a completely different way that you kind of like better. And that collaborative effort of different things going different ways, I think, is what makes RP so nostalgic for me, and why D&D could not replicate the same thing. Because D&D is much more fundamentally based on, like, okay, you want to try this? Well, roll a dice, see if that goes well for you. At both to the benefit and the downside of the person who's writing the story. Where it's like, yes, an interaction can go well if they can go, like, you can incentivize an interaction to go a certain way, but ultimately you and the person playing are at the mercy of the dice. For the NPC thing, it's more opposite problem, where characters I want to flesh out end up forgotten, and I can't play my main player character either because they're not related to plot hooks. And I feel like that just depends on the method of which you're role playing with, because I feel like one thing that made the other what made the Omega Clan, which was the Google Plus group that I did this role playing in, what made the Omega Clan like work was that it kind of was just allowed any manner of role play, where it was like, okay, there was a main plot that like that our DM Chase was pushing forward and would happen at its own leisure, and different I guess sub quests could be tackled by different people, but then anyone was allowed to do to host their own RP that can be as related or as unrelated as it gets. And this is reminding me of one of my favorite memories of that server, which was the crack RPs, in which there was no rhyme or reason towards why anything happened. It was just people being dumbasses, and it was hilarious. All this to say, having that flexibility of a main quest and anyone being allowed to do their own side thing, be it for their own character's progression or just for the sake of just trying to replicate a narrative of something else they liked, it made for a very interesting environment in which, depending on what you felt like role-playing, there was always something you could do. But I get it. Having too many characters that you want to do stuff with can be incredibly difficult. Thankfully, I never had that problem because, well, I'm role-playing as a Yoshi. I feel like there's less room to get attached to characters when you have that type of derivativeness to the things you do. Probably to my benefit, but like, even outside of that, I do have characters from my role-plays that went on to be like very heavily cherished OC as hell. Anna, the sort of, do I want to say player character? Wait, hold on. Oh, I don't have 6 score. Oh, I'm so glad I checked. I am so glad I checked. Oh, fuck. This is going to be a slow Heavenly, and like, that's fine. I just kind of want to get out of it and like be okay. Anna, who is kind of the precursor to Dust, of being the first character I ever modeled in Vroid. Or, I say model, but, you know, used character creation software to make a thing. She was originally a character from one of those role plays. Like, it's perfectly reasonable to get attached to other characters and to want to do other things with them.
Hey, get out of here.
Like, ideally you don't want it to happen with too many characters, but and then in the era in which I stopped role-playing, I actually combined Anna and a different character that I hadn't really that I like really loved the thought process for, but that I never really did anything with. I combined her and I think her name was Itzel. I didn't really have like, this was very much, I didn't have a good naming scheme for my characters. I kind of adopted the Pro Jared naming scheme in his Nuzlocke, where he makes noises with his mouth until it lands on something that sounds decent a lot of the time. And that was definitely the method I used for this other character. I kind of combined the traits of Anna and that character into one to make the kind of more refined version of Anna. But I feel like that I have much less of a point in talking about that, where you can also just combine characters into different ones. And I feel like that's also, I feel like that's also still relevant, because I think about what Curb was talking about in the fact that he sort of revised, or I guess Curb goes by they pronouns. I don't talk to Curb that often, and you can probably tell. They took the various different forms that their character took throughout the years and kind of combined them into like a conglomerate human form that represents all of them. And I feel like that's the approach I kind of took with Anna, that I think makes things interesting. Oh, hi, Zimbo. I've not seen you in ages. Oh, fucking Christ. Alright, this is a terrible heavenly. Yes, Anna was conceived as being a sort of like lawful evil character, where like she wasn't like take over the world type evil, but she was very notably like built as a character that just kind of had fun messing with people for very selfish reasons. Like she doesn't really like, not necessarily out of any desire for power, but just from being being a little fucked up and probably not like ethical. But I always had fun with her. And she kind of has come to be a conglomerate of two different characters. How have you been in recent memories, Zimbo? I have just kind of not heard from you in forever. I probably shouldn't be caring about what I'm doing still to this run, but I am going to keep going, assuming this run is alive, even though this heavenly is beyond atrocious. Okay, that was enough for 6 score. Alright, well I guess I can just get to the bottom now. I do really miss that era of role-playing, and there are several times where I wanted to try to replicate that with my current community, but it goes without saying that there was never time for that. Because that era of role-playing is a memory that I cherish really heavily, and I'd like to spread that that practice of role-playing, because I don't think that it's like a commonplace thing that people have done, where they will just throw away the conventions of a normal tabletop RPG of like, okay, there must be a rationale for why certain things work over others. And it's a hard balance to strike, but when you can, there's nothing like just having absolutely no limits to the story you can tell and how it's accomplished. I've always wanted to re-explore that in some way or another, but there's many reasons why that is no longer possible in modern day. And I think one thing that particularly made this format of roleplay work the way that it did was everything being housed on Google+, because Google+ is a platform that you can be doing something else completely in the background. Like, you can be watching your YouTube video, and you don't have to be, like, completely engaged with the platform where you're doing things, because as soon as the RP is continued, you get a notification, like, right on the same platform you're watching YouTube. Like, that's just gonna be there, like, right when you need it. And that's something that I've never got to experience with any other really form of, like, anything like that, because, like, otherwise, without that, I feel like I have to direct all of my attention on everything that's happening at a given moment, which is extremely overwhelming. And if you're ever not as invested with a part of the story, unlike a Google Plus roleplay between 3+ people, you can't just wait for a certain part of the roleplay to be over. Oh my god, no fucking way. That was insane. What the hell? Alright. That was probably the fastest I've ever done the snowmobile. That was kind of rad as hell. Haven't heard of Google Plus in forever. People shit on Google Plus, but Google Plus was honestly, like, a pretty damn good platform for what I experienced on it. Not everyone got to have that experience, and I don't expect that many people will ever understand what that was like, but just having that be what it was, just Twitter that comes to you basically with all the people you care about being there and just in your notifications where you can be doing your own thing, but then you get an update from people just being active there. Like it was a thing of its own, man. It was a thing of its own. I do miss that era of role-playing, and I feel like you could definitely replicate something like that with Discord. And I've always wanted to, and I think Curb and I tried to at one point. And it was a good format. It's just that we both got busy, so we ended up abandoning that project, sadly. Oh, I already got that then. Alright, bet. I have no clue if I am like feeling a massive wave of like unease about whether I have everything right now. Oh, so Curb actually has attempted that before with a different group of people. I wouldn't have ever known that. Understandable. And that's one thing that's really tough about this particular format, is you need to be able to know who you can, you need to have the right people, and trying to filter out those, the people who are not really built for this kind of role-playing is a difficult task. I don't think I'm gonna make this work. Why am I still going for this? I'm not gonna... Okay, that was scary. Oh, I got clotheslined. The run is very dead now. Do I want to even bother continuing? No. A snowbird where I don't get either logos or the snowmen, that's not a run worth continuing. That is not too negative. That is far from too negative. That is subject matter that is entirely related to the conversation that just doesn't happen to have a happy ending. And, well, I mean, most things don't. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know what non grata means, or if that is a bit of context I'm missing out on, but the rest of the context clues, I think, provides a decent enough picture. Alright, well, we have run out of overclocked Necrodancer, with one song being the exception, but we don't have much, we don't have anything else to listen to. So, what's the vibe now? What is a game that I've played recently that I really have enjoyed? Right, that's the problem, is that there's not like one game that I've like particularly liked. You know what? I'll go for like oh, you know what? Diddy Kong Racing. That's a very obvious one. I don't know why I've not done that one yet. That makes a lot of sense. Person non grata translates literally to unwelcome person. Okay, so pretty much what I picked apart from the context clues. There are not a lot of nice things I can say about Chase in modern day. Well, actually, no. I wouldn't say that. I'd say that's not that. Even that might be a little bit too mean. In modern day, Chase, the person who hosted the Omega Clan, which is where I roleplayed, there is a very large reason why I don't interact with him anymore, and why Curb is the only person. Curb and Bray are the only two people that I like actively communicate with to this day. And it's because Chase had a lot of qualities about him. For one, he was very good at leading a greater narrative in a roleplay. For two, he was very good at filtering out people's bullshit. Like when someone was not following the correct rules for the roleplay, he was pretty quick to ban them and keep keep everyone on the same playing field in terms of the roleplay and like making sure that it was like doing things were going correctly and that the status was being upholded. Those were the two things that Chase was absolutely best at in terms of like being able to make the environment somewhere worth being. The problem with that is that there's a reason he was good at especially the latter of those two things. That's because he wasn't always the nicest person. In fact, he was quite often a bit of an asshole. And that probably did not, and that probably hit its peak when he started getting especially, what's a good way to put it? This playlist has had a lot of jingles in it. I'm just gonna live with it. I don't care. Sorry, my brain is focusing on the game. This probably hit its men's at its peak when he started getting increasingly up in arms politically. I guess the best way I can put this is if Cinna is the gold standard example of someone with someone who's very religious, who is of someone who's religious while being like especially tolerant of people who he doesn't agree with. Cinna is the exact Chase was the exact opposite of that, and this led to him getting on a lot of people's nerves, and eventually it came and where it hit its peak was when he kicked out Curb, who before that point Curb and Chase were like best friends at that point pretty much, and when Curb got kicked out it was clear that something was wrong and conflict kind of sprung out en masse. I originally was trying to help Chase make amends with that situation, and I was one of the only people who would listen to him when he would actually like admit that he messed up in a lot of cases. But ultimately, it became clear that at a certain point, the environment he wanted to create was not a sustainable one for everyone else who just wanted to be there for the role playing. And it's sad because I genuinely do feel bad for him, because I feel like Chase in a lot of ways didn't realize his own faults, and I definitely tried to reason with him, and god damn it. 6-4. I tried to reason with him a lot of the time to, I guess you could say he's kind of the epitome of like the I can fix him type of person, which I know that's usually reserved for like romantic relationships, but toxic relationships can take all forms, and that can include a friendship. Here's the thing, though. The situations we're describing here is different. Because Shay is more of someone who is a participant of this, as opposed to the main person leading it. I feel like this type of roleplay is only suited for specific people. And if someone does not have the right mindset for it, then then they're simply not going to be cut out for it, and you kind of just have to filter those people out, because otherwise you're just going to be trying to compromise every step of the way with everything, and that's not going to work out. In the case with Chase, like, it was a much different situation because he was literally the leader of the group and was the main writer of the scenarios that were happening. He was a very creative individual, and I loved being a part of anything that he conducted. But when he stopped conducting things and more so tried to tell people how to think, that stopped being fun. But this is also one problem with trying to do something like this in modern day, is that something like Chase's, like the Omega Clan, this group that Chase hosted, it's much easier in a Google Plus environment to pick out people who work well from a comment section than it is to like create an exclusive server only for the people that you know will abide by everything in the best way possible. Because a lot of the Omega Clan's, like, earlier RPs happened in YouTube comment sections. That was just how it happened. And it was much easier to kind of onboard people from that process of just seeing how well do they do in a YouTube comment RP. And you can't really do that if you're in a much bigger community like my own that's like exists on its own merits beyond role-playing, which is a challenge that I don't know how I would ever overcome if I ever did want to do this. Just in case, fair enough. You are totally valid to mention it in DMs. And I'm going to assume that if you're going to DMs at this point, I'm going to assume that any response you want in that regard, you'll want there as well. So, I'll leave that where it is. There's chemistry between characters but not actors. I mean, I can kind of understand that. That's a thing that I've seen. Like, there's plenty of shows where I think that kind of thing has happened. I don't know a lot about this kind of thing, but like, my brain immediately jumps to something like this is maybe a dumb example, but like Drake and Josh, the Nickelodeon sitcom, they were two very different people just cast as brothers who, in the show, they work really well together. And outside of that, they live completely different lives that are not even tangentially related. Like, that happens. But I'm not sure I necessarily understand how that relates to roleplay in particular, or if it does at all. Oh boy. Okay, that worked out. I did not like how that felt. I'm gonna hit this tree. Alright, yes, I'm secret sponsoring. I guess I'm I mean, I don't know what this does for my goals. I'm not too worried though. The same jail? I didn't know that. I don't know anything about that. I didn't know that Josh's voice actor went to jail. Not voice actor. This is a real life sitcom, so that they're not called that. They're actors. But regardless, all this to say, there are a number of factors that can make having an experience like this difficult, and I am grateful for the one that I got to have, even if it wouldn't work in modern day. I wonder if someday I'll ever get back to exploring that idea. I've wanted to get back into role-playing for a while now, but I've never really had the good outlet to do so, especially considering just how much time that it takes. And I think the biggest thing that scares me about like D&D and roleplay in general is just that you're sitting down and you're committing so much of your time to that shit. It's much easier to do that when you're in an environment like I was with Google Plus, where these things just kind of where you were doing your own thing, and then you would get a notification, and like that's like prompting your response, and then you just can do something a lot quicker. Which is another thing that weirds me out about a lot of people's like specifications for role plays is that like, oh, you have to have like at least like a 2-paragraph response to every message you get. No, role plays don't have to be that complicated and like that detailed. And in fact, I kind of prefer them when they're shorter and they're concise, and they and interactions are much more back and forth. This was a benefit that Google Plus had as a role-playing platform. Like, is that you could just have these back and forths without anything getting in the way of everything else. Oh no. I will have to get to the bottom very quickly. Like, what made this format of roleplay work so well is that it dissected these long interactions that have this whole process behind them in a normal D&D campaign or a normal roleplay, and distilled them down to quick one-sentence interactions that you could reasonably just like go back and forth between whatever YouTube video you're watching in the background and the greater story that's being told outside of it. Like, it was so easy to just have thing, wait for a response for like a minute or two, thing, like, it was a simple format, and I've not been able to find a format that replicates it in terms of anything like that, because D&D bores me. It just takes too long, and I just want to, and with my ADHD, I want to be doing something else while it's happening. Even though I'm, like, engaged in it. I guess, in a sense, that makes me the funny Subway Surfers gameplay kind of person that I constantly make fun of YouTubers for thinking their audience is. Like, there's a way to have multiple different to cater to short attention span without like needing to have like without needing to do something like that. I don't know. At this point, I am just ranting about nonsense. No, my character says, thanks for playing. But I don't know why that gives me the mental image of REI watching documentary in her Evangelion while she waits for the next command in I realize that's Ray. Again, I don't know Evangelion. Forgive me. I think I know the character though from realizing you're talking about Eve. Look, brain's a little fried for one. Two, I had no clue what you were talking about until I read Eva. Like, I was mid-sentence. Be patient with me, please. I don't see a lot of R-E-I rays. That's not like my first thought when I see those letters. I've only met like one or two in my life. Switch to the next command and angel fight. Like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense, I suppose. Rain is in shambles. Do I care? Is this... I think this is fine. That's not a terrible reset. I already got the secret sponsor, so I can just go pretty directly. I don't want to start worrying too much. Sometimes people talk about liking hearing the sound of me singing, and it's like, for some reason, this comes as a shock to me, despite the fact that I literally will watch like Afana karaoke, even if she doesn't even have like the best voice for singing in terms of Hololive. I guess it feels different for me because I feel less like a celebrity and more like a person, like it's like a regular everyday person. I guess it's the size of my stream that makes me feel this way.
Get off the mountain.
And I think about... What the hell? Alright, that was a weird loop for the song. That threw me off. I don't know. I do ASMR. I mean, yeah. That's different because, like, that's different, though, because... Well... I guess it is different because the appeal of ASMR is inherently different. Like, I feel like the biggest reason why I started doing ASMR is because I want to be more of the change that I want to see in the world in regards to what, in regards to normalizing ASMR as not being this weird thing that the vast majority of YouTube recommendations would make you think it is. Like, there is a normal side to ASMR that gets very heavily overshadowed by the sexual one, and I would like to see that changed. And for one, the lack of male ASMR artists, and two, the lack of people who do like actual trigger-based ASMR is very lacking. All right. You have mentioned it before. And I feel like there's a lot of people who would, but that don't get the chance to learn that until, there are not that many people who get the chance to learn that because they see the weird stuff first, and they think that's all there is to it. And like, hell, even if you look for the non-weird ASMR, you're gonna kind of struggle to find it. I say this is very much the person in that camp. Like, is it weird to say that I am one of my more that I am like a little bit of my own favorite ASMR artist, despite the fact that I don't have as good of mic audio? I guess it's not that weird because I am making what I want want ASMR to be, so I guess it's in fact, very normal because the fact that I'm doing it the way that I want other people to do it, but I digress. But it's crazy because a lot of times I'll just browse the ASMR category on Twitch, and you know what I'll find? Fucking nothing. There is nothing there for like what I want to hear out of ASMR. It is almost entirely ear licks and cleavage or like cleavage design. A lot of VTuber designs that are like very sexual in nature. That I see the word "mommy" in the title a lot. Like it is so hard to find ASMR on Twitch that is completely divorced of going in a weird direction, at least subtly. And that's baffling to me. That is absolutely baffling to me that there's just no one there. The only like main person that I can the only like main person I know of that doesn't like have that as like a major aspect of their ASMR is the person who rated me during, I think it was my first ASMR stream. The James, I don't remember what the numbers of his name were, but James Bond. He just does traditional ASMR, and it's completely normal, and I've struggled to find anyone else that's like similar to him in that regard. And I guess that's another thing is that even as I like in my attempt to find non-weird ASMR artists, I have ended up finding some weird ones that I have come to find an appeal in. Just from the fact that outside of them being embodying that that part of, not even like necessarily always intentionally, just a lot of times it's just like a more risque VTuber design or something along those lines. But in spite of a lot of them feeling like they have that potential sexual aspect at their forefront, when you actually sit down and watch an ASMR video from them, you'll find that they are actually like very normal, and there's been a lot of ones that have been like that, and even some of the weirder ones. I can take solace in for just like being like, I don't know, it's weird. One thing I've never been able to do very much though is RP ASMR, because I feel like that takes away a slight bit of the human element, but also requires a higher degree of suspension of disbelief that I really don't know how to get into. The most major like roleplay ASMR that I can really like remember having liked was a really silly one from Nujisami's Aya. Like I hope that's how you pronounce her name. It's A-I-A. Aya Mari, I think it is.
Hey, get out of here!
She had a really dumb roleplay ASMR that's this roleplay ASMR almost gave me the same vibes as what I mentioned earlier in the Mega Clan, the crack roleplays where anyone was just allowed to act however the hell they want, and usually quite often a lot of those roleplays would end up with everything exploding, like that kind of like nonsense bullshittery. She did an ASMR like a month ago that was titled I don't remember exactly what it was titled. I don't remember what her what her VTuber character is. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Do I want to continue this run? Can I continue this run? I mean, I want to. I don't particularly want to start another run right now, so I will simply man up and then just have insane runs in other parts of this. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, IMRA posted a roleplay That was ASMR. Again, I don't remember what her character was, what her character is. I think she's an angel. I don't know for sure. But it was, the premise was that she just beats you up at Denny's. And it is so silly and dumb, and I love it. Not because I'm immersed by it, but because it is just, without having watched too many of her ASMRs, like, she's one of, like, on the lower end of the ASMR artists I've watched. Without having watched too much of her, her personality shines through so much in that video, because she's just being incredibly silly the whole time, and is like kind of overacting in a way that's just very endearing, and I just was very enraptured by this damn video. The best part about it is that, like, at like the fucking 45-minute mark of the stream, she fucking has the stream transition to like a black screen and then fade back in to to her playing a doctor at the hospital. It's like, yeah, looks like the person who beat you up was taking it easy on you. It's so wonderfully stupid. It was so dumb, but I loved it to pieces. Fucking pulls a rhythm heaven. It was the most wonderful kind of dorky, and as chat like pointed out, like she was getting super chats about like how dorky she was being. It's like I am not dorky, I am a threat to be reckoned with. And it was wonderful, like very much embracing just the weirdness of it, just like, and playing it off for laughs rather than expecting you to just immerse yourself. I think that is the stream where I understood the point of more silly ASMR, even if there are a lot of other silly ASMRs that people have recommended me that I have just like been like, no, but why? This just looks like the kind of thing a weirdo would watch. I think that was the stream that made me understand it. I want to get clothesline, so we're avoiding that. I guess I'm just holding this. Works and kinks, I guess. But I feel like there are a lot of, like, especially in the world of ASMR, there's a lot of stuff that, like, just feels too weird to approach. Very nice. Oh, did not get the hop there. Yes, sir. I'll do one quick pass through here, and if I don't get the plow down, then I will not worry about it. Uh-oh. Alright, the plow is down. Alright, we can now return to our normally scheduled bullshit. 6 score is done. This is going a little too well for a typical snowbird. I am scared, chat. This is not how Snowbird is supposed to go at all. I mean, no, that's the problem, is that it's exactly how Snowbird is supposed to go. This is... I'm living in a dream realm. But then again, I guess the rest of the early run was pretty fucked up. Only by like a minute and a half, though, because I really need to stop resetting as many runs as I do. Because just redoing a level and doing another cycle on an earlier level does not accumulate nearly as much time as doing so on a later level. I need to remember that. But it's so hard to go against that instinct. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Ooh, no, I didn't get the grind. I will still persevere. I am going to stop reading chat for the next minute. I'm sorry. I have to do my thing. I don't know how the heck Bird clears that gap, and I may need to ask Bird what technique they use for that. Okay, I need to get up there. That worked out somehow. That was insane. Wonderful, but insane. What the fuck is happening? Okay, that scared me. Could probably audibly hear that gasp. Alright, wow, holy crap. Chat, this might be the legendary 2-cycle Snowbird. Big if true. I might have to extend the whole not reading chat thing until until I finish Snowbird. I feel like Golden Brawler has likely been here the whole time. Golden Brawler, I've learned, is quite a bit of a lurker who doesn't ever really leave, just stops being visible. Wow, that worked! What the fuck? That was so unbelievably fucked up. What the hell is happening, chat? Help me. What the hell? Alright, well, it's real. Okay, so... Oh god, my splits are in the way of the chat. Let me... Alright. You know what, I'm just gonna finish this and read it on loading screen. I don't need to... Alright. Like even my mom, who's the most 9 to 5, goes skiing for vacation, loves light blue and dogged woman you can meet. She likes her Coke with wine. 1 second. Pizza day! Sorry, I associate the song with a specific YTPMV. Her Coke with wine, she likes her tacos with strawberry jam. That's a new one. She doesn't, like novellas that fucking novels that focus too much on romance. Fair enough. That quirk I've got. Not if the streamer could see me. Oh, I've done that before. I've been known to nod while on voice calls before, and I feel like that's very similar. I feel like that's very similar type of thing happening there, but I have done that as well. Also, glad to hear your progress is going well on the Nether Golden Brawler. No, I can't. Well, let's land this combo real quick. Okay, that's not a lot, but I don't know why I bothered landing it. I was like, in what universe would that combo be enough to 6 score? The answer is not very many of them. Okay, I do not want this. Can I grind that rail? No, I cannot. Okay. Wonderful. this one instead, because this one will take me to where I need to go. But this balance needs to stay in tune. Alright. That counted? Okay. I thought for sure I missed that by like a large margin, but bet. That makes my life easier. Okay, let's land this combo, please. So that I may regain control of my life. That was as good as that could have gone. Oh, and now not as much so. Hi there, bud. Don't mind me. Just gonna sneak right in here and bonk this thing. Okay. I guess I'm going for this now. No, I am not. Alright. Ooh. Okay. Very underrated banger. Just combo that with that, and we're good to go, lads. Look at that. That's some good shit right there. Uh-oh. Alright, well that worked out. Now let's use Bird's method for this. Bonk that. Like, this game is accidentally genius in many places. Or, I presume it's accidentally. Maybe they actually put a lot of thought into this game, but all of the context clues that you could really, like, look at just says that they built a level using the Tony Hawk engine, and just kind of expect you to figure out the rest. But what do I know? Maybe they are actually geniuses. Let's go bring down these things. Yes, sir. Little preemptive first step to the property damage. Uh-oh. That didn't go correctly. Well, I can still fix this because I can go over here and bonk that instead. It's a little bit scuffed, but still on pace for where I need to be. Alright. I opened the garage but didn't get the logo. I got the, there's a lot of other things I did. I'm not keeping track of them all. Okay, do I have all the logos? I gotta double check. Logos are done, ride the cranes are not. Okay, so we're where we need to be. Everything is looking the way it should be. Now I just gotta ride those cranes correctly, and everything will have worked out okay. No, 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 no. That's not the end of the world. It's gonna cost me several seconds, but like, we're not working on a second-by-second basis at this point in the game. Eventually the meta will advance that far, but that is not today. I was really worried that for some reason it wasn't going to count that. God bless David Wise for this banger of a soundtrack. I have no clue why chat has decided that for Pepsi Valley, now is the time for complete and utter silence. Though I guess it makes some degree of sense. This level does have a lot to manage, and perhaps y'all do not want to interrupt me, but I do not mind, because it just allowed me to focus on my gameplay. Somehow though, despite the fact that this was only a 2-cycle, I'm still losing a lot of time. I don't know what I did wrong. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Okay, we're good. I mean, it was a slowish 2-cycle, but like, can't win them all. Alright. Look at the time. That's fair. That is more than valid. Very fitting song for getting a run out of Squaw Valley. Like, that feels like an accomplishment, and this music makes me feel like that is what is happening. Oh, I accidentally went back to the first board. That's too bad. Or here is your shower. Doing a shower in prep for surgery. Well, best of luck for the surgery. I hope you make it out alive. We love a little hyperbole here. Alright. I should probably land this combo, but I'm having so much fun with it. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to hold out a little bit longer. At least my grind is still very fresh. Alright, let's land that right now. One performing surgery. I mean, I guess it hadn't occurred to me, the possibility that anyone in my audience is talented enough to be, like, an actual, like, doctor and stuff. Big if true. Like, that is not something that had ever, like, even once crossed my mind. Let's end this off with my favorite gap. That gap is terrifying looking, but it's so fun to do. Also, early 6 score is going to be that I'm not going to make the same mistake that I did on my last run that died. Alright. Helicopter skip? Yes, sir! Oh my goodness gracious, y'all! Your boy landed the helicopter skip. Things are looking real now. Things are looking very real. Oh wait, you grind this, and you grind this. And then this takes you directly to the logo. Oh wait, I'm missing a logo. Which one am I missing? Oh, I know exactly which one I'm missing. Okay, so everything is how it should be. I might just take the little, like, the small bit of extra time that it takes to clear out every mission before the speed challenge, because the speed challenge on this map can be very finicky. And failing to do everything can result in you losing several minutes at a time, versus the small amount of time you lose from having to go down the mountain 2 full times. Like, that's not... I'd rather get slow but sure progress than trying to bite off more than I can chew for one particular cycle and regret my entire life. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna first start by grabbing this logo right here. Alright. I never understood why this particular version of this song exists. Like, every other version makes sense for, like, immersing you in a part of the map, but for some reason, just at a random part of the map, you just hear children singing, and it's like, huh? Weird choice, but okay. Oh, this is part of the. This is an opening cutscene. All right. Yes, sir. Oh boy, it's on. Oh, it's fucking on. Imagine fucking writing this. Like, my god. Oh my goodness gracious. Man, there are so few songs that could pump you up like this one can. Uh-oh. I didn't know about that being there. Oh no. Just get to the bottom, just get to the bottom. Don't let that crash stop me. That's a gold mount hood? No shot. What the fuck? I went all the way down to the bottom a second time and that's still a gold mount hood. I think that speaks a lot about how normal it is for me to get this far on the run. Alright, let's do it. Gotcha Glacier, lads. Let's claim this PB. The glorious dub. You know what? I'll use Pirate Bird's route. Pirate Bird's route, I think, makes a lot of sense. Oh shoot, hold on. In an attempt to, well, this is what happens when I attempt a route I have not practiced. But that's okay, because I can improvise and make this work. Wonderful, look at that. This combo needs to stop, but it's too fun to stop. Alright. Wow. We are going well. The one thing I'm worried about is knocking down the bridge. Oh boy. Knocking down the bridge isn't too hard of a thing. It is like the thing at the very top of the mountain. So if I have to do one reset just to do that, that is not the end of the world. I want to land this, please. Alright, that worked out somehow. That did not feel good, but it got the job done. Oh no. Yeah, that was gonna happen. Imagine having fun with your speed game. Yeah? Quite a difficult task, to say the least. Oh boy. Yes, sir. G-Train has been transferred. Okay, you know what? I'm not worried about, I'm not particularly worried about, the fucking, about the bridge anymore, because I still have just a little bit left. I have to go down one more time. I already have 6 scores, so I don't need to worry about, like, keeping a combo going. I say trying to, as I I mean, I rightfully put down the combo, but I can just focus on getting up here. Don't care about the crash, just as long as I get to where I need to be. Grab that. Grab that. And uh-oh. Land that, please. Thank you. Now I just gotta get that damn logo, and we are all good. We've accomplished everything we need to for the perfect first cycle, which would be kind of insane. All right, that is everything we need for the perfect 2 cycle. But keyword perfect 2 cycle. Now it is time for an attempt at what could very well be the most difficult pairing of challenges in the game. So we'll see how that goes, and if it doesn't go well, then that is accounted for, and we can just go do it normally like we otherwise would. Oh crap, that's not good. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, that probably is going to disqualify any chance we have at the speed challenge. But let's just see if we can throw everything else together, and even with that crash, see if we can make it happen. Oh, okay. Well, that's the dreams dying noise. But we persist. No perfect 2 cycle, which is like, that would be ridiculous to expect. Though it would have been nice to have gotten one of the 2 out of the way, but actually setting up to do that correctly can be difficult. Oh, this song is reminding me of my incomplete projects. The one YTPMV that I was actually going somewhere with, and I didn't know how to proceed. That's too bad. But that's okay. We will just continue our thing and get ready to be fast. Oh no. Okay, we will simply grind this, and we're back in business, ladies and gentlemen. Alright. Jump to the left. I do not think I have enough speed, I'll be honest. I had enough speed. I had enough speed. I had enough speed. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. It's real. Oh, but I missed the rail. No. Oh. I did the hardest part. I did the hardest part. Ah. All right. Well, at least now we just have to pair secret sponsor with it, which is, all things considered, pretty damn easy. This is looking like it'll still be a PB. Not a sub 50 though. That is the sad part of this. No sub 50, but it could definitely be a PB. Just land normally. Jump to the left. And time. Gold Gotcha Glacier Split, all things considered, that's pretty good. Granted, only a 1-minute improvement isn't the hugest thing, but that is a PB nonetheless. And you know what? I think that does put me back within a minute of Green Pirate Bird's world record. It's really good, but it's not better than Green Pirate Bird's. Sub 51 is nice. Sub 51 is nice, but I want to beat that sub 50 barrier. But more importantly, I also want to reclaim my world record. That second thing, perhaps a little bit less reasonable as a thing that I can like actually accomplish. But, you know, it's good enough. But with that, I am officially back within 5 minutes of Green Pirate Bird. We are getting back up there. It's pretty damn good shit. Alright, well, this has been a hell of a stream. Not very often where I am just enjoying conversation enough to not only put off my original plan for homework, but switch games entirely just because of the fact that the conversation is so good. That is not something that occurs very much. But given where we're at for the night, one thing I will do is I was talking about normal ASMRs earlier. Assuming the person I see live that I'm following is assuming that the person that I see live isn't particularly too weird in terms of their ASMR, I'm gonna send you over to them so that you may sleep in peace. That's what I'm thinking. Overall, some pretty good runs today. I'm excited to further improve my time because I think I'm very capable. I can do a lot of great things with the techniques that I have unlocked. I have unlocked some incredibly new and useful strategies for future runs, and sub 50 is a lot closer than you may think. And I feel very confident saying that. Alright, so I'm gonna quickly, before anything, go ahead and mute my desktop audio just to scope out the scene, to be making sure that I want to make sure I'm sure this is what I want to read into, because I don't remember too much about this particular person. This might have been one of the many people that is a follower only voice chat or something along those lines. I don't remember what their ASMR was like, so I'm going to turn off my desktop audio just while I scope out the scene, because it feels like an ASMR a stream, especially given the people here. Makes sense. Not as normal as I would want it to be. That's the challenge with ASMR streams, is that there are streams that will be like, this is only a little. Oh wait, hold up. A different ASMR artist I follow has gone live. Like, there can be like just enough that like you'll tolerate on your own, but like you won't feel confident raiding into them. You know, that's the thing that I notice with ASMR, is that I never really feel quite at ease raiding into a lot of them, and that's, again, I think that has to do with just the overall landscape of the medium. Alright, nothing is tickling my fancy, so what other options are there that are not ASMR based? I don't have the best of immediate options. I don't want to just end stream either, though. Especially because most of the people that I follow are playing games that I don't even know what they are. All right, well, we'll go for the old reliable. She's pretty much always live whenever I'm streaming, and even though I don't feel like I'm particularly close to her, but for waifus is a cool person. I've enjoyed being in their presence the few times that I have, and they're the only reason the Lame Dimension group even exists. So we'll go raid, vote for waifus. They are doing some Metroid Prime. Um, I'm hoping that in the future I may expand my repertoire of decent ASMR channels that I feel comfortable raiding into. Alright. Thank y'all for joining me for the Mario Kart and for the PB. I am excited to do more stuff later on. Mondays is kind of my do anything day, and it's always nice getting that chance. And while most of the time I don't normally have enough going on to continue more than a few hours, today y'all made something that y'all made my night very special. And I'm happy that I got to experience it this way. Anyway, I'm just gonna hit the button. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.